What's up, guys? This is Tom Peake. I'm the vocalist for Bellower.
Hey, this is Jeff, drummer for Bellower.
I'm Lewis. I play guitar.
Hi, my name is John McLaughlin, and I play bass for Bellower.
When I moved back to Western Mass from Boston, I knew I wanted to be involved in the metal scene again. I wanted to start something up. I knew Tom was not really doing anything.
So Bellower is sort of a Western Mass supergroup. We've all been in bands playing in the Western Mass circuit for years and sort of become friends.
Bellower came to be when Lewis basically handpicked all the people that he had known from the music scene, for years. And he really knew who he wanted and what he wanted for this project. And he pretty much didn't take no for an answer.
So I was actually in a band with Tom before this, actually as Lewis's replacement when he moved. But so we kind of already knew each other. But when Lewis came back and started this, Tom had actually asked me if I wanted to join. But at the time I was kind of into other things. I wasn't sure if this was the kind of project I wanted to start in. But after I saw them at their first show with just one guitar, I was kind of hooked on it. So I talked to them that night, and here we are.
I think I was the second bassist who was asked to join the band. The first one couldn't commit for various life reasons. But I'd known Tom for years from going to shows and playing other shows together. I'd filled in on a gig for his previous band, God Eater, before as well. Jeff I knew from his other bands. Everyone really had known each other for a long time. We all were well aware of what the others were capable of, and we were all really excited to make this band happen.
It was just really exciting to get an opportunity to collaborate with these guys. And it's been a whole lot of fun ever since.
As for the name, we all came up with ideas and we put it to a runoff vote. Bellower was my idea. I've always liked band names that have something to do with sound or sound related, like Sigh, Howl. I like band names like that, so that was my submission, and I thought for our sound, it was a name that worked well.
I think that one thing that black metal maybe has not always done a great job talking about is sort of more systemic failures. And that's what I really feel is going on right now. I do believe that people have a right to have some amount of say in how they're governed. And when you see this number of people showing up on the street and risking their own safety to make their voices heard, I think you got to ask, were the people in power doing a good job listening? I would argue that they were not.
There just comes a point when things boil over, when the oppressed are unheard, and that's where we are now.
I think it's heartbreaking seeing what people have to go through just to feel equal and push for equal rights and to feel safe in everyday life. And I really applaud people on the front line and fully support it.
Black Lives Matter gets our 100% support. Bigotry and racism of all kinds can fuck right off forever.
I completely agree. Fuck racists, fuck bigots, and especially fuck Nazis.
Legendary Bones has been a really fun album to work on because it sort of came out of our first collaboration. We really started the band with the first two songs in mind, and then sort of developed our sound as we went along. So it was really just kind of an interesting project to build an album, but also sort of build a sound and build a relationship, with each other as musicians as we went along.
This album took a really long time. It was a little rough at first.
Throughout the album, you can certainly hear the band progress and mature as the album goes on, because the songs were kind of just made in that way. But we played them a lot. Like we practiced once a week at least, most times. So we kind of had it in our head, and everything just got very solidified towards the end. But as soon as that record button is pressed, then all bets are off for me.
So the songs on Legendary Bones are just the first 6 songs that we wrote, and they're in the order that we wrote them. It was kind of unusual that they sequenced so well in that order, but it's really interesting to listen to the album and then hear how we've progressed from song to song.
I myself, like John, really enjoy that this album is chronological. I feel like it gives people a really good sense of our journey musically together. I really feel like as the album goes on, we really do get more comfortable with the sound and everything else that we're going for, and I really feel like that shows.
So I actually got the idea for the Legendary Bone lyrics years ago when I was listening to some Baroness albums, of all things. It's not exactly black metal, but John Baisley and Baroness have always done a really good job of weaving in this sort of mythologized version of sort of the American South, where they were based at the time, into their lyrics and their imagery and whatnot. And I thought that was kind of cool. I thought, what would something like that work like, for the hill towns of Western Mass, where I grew up and where many of the other members of the band grew up. And so, just thinking about how to take the local flora and fauna and turn that into something a little bit more ominous, or, what sort of weird mythological creatures would exist. So, I was working on something kind of like that, and I always knew that if I were going to do something like that, it would have to be black metal. This is long before Bellower ever became a thing that we were thinking of doing. I was just always thinking it would be cool to do a black metal band and sing about sort of like a mythologized version of Western Mass. So, when this band came along, and I was looking for lyrics, I thought, oh, that's totally what I want to do. And, that's what we went forward with. I don't know if that's what we'll continue to doing on future albums or if we'll take it in a different direction. But it's an idea and a concept I always kind of wanted to play around with, and I'm glad I did.
The cover art is related to some of the imagery from one of the songs. Tom relayed that to me, and then I relayed that to my wife, who was willing to do the artwork for us. And that was her first design. She nailed it the first time. Everyone loved it, and so it was an easy decision.
Why black metal? Because Lewis wouldn't take no for an answer.
Well, it's intense, it's dark, it's aggressive and melodic. I mean, you can't really ask much more for that, especially when singing about outrageous things.
Black metal has always had this ability to sort of channel this raw emotion, just like this really raw feeling in a way that I've always thought is really cool and interesting. I've always wanted to try it out. I've always thought that my vocals, I've got sort of these high-pitched, screechy vocals. I always thought those might sound kind of cool over some blast beats. So, it's something I always wanted to give a shot to, and I'm glad that we could do it here.
Why black metal? I would say that everything I've done before in terms of writing sort of had a black metal tinge to it, and I just wanted to take it further in that direction.
I mean, obviously, like the way that the album progressed, we're not really like a straight up black metal band, I guess, anymore. You can, as I mentioned, hear that change from song to song. Regardless, there just wasn't really a scene for it out here. The scene now in Western Mass is kind of like a mishmash of all different kinds of heavy genres. We're most known for our hardcore and our metalcore scene. Killswitch Engage and Shadows Fall and all those other bands in the 2000s came from our neck of the woods. But yeah, I guess we're sort of the big fish in the small pond, both because the members have all been in the scene for a while and because there's no one out here doing what we do.
I think that a label could potentially be helpful, but it kind of depends on what they're going to offer.
No, I don't really see a whole lot of good coming out of labels.
A record label deal can be advantageous, but we're very lucky to live in a time where musicians can do everything themselves and keep costs very low for themselves at the same time.
I think a label these days is really only valuable if you have a big label that has a lot of resources, or if you're on a smaller tastemaker label, I guess is the term, that has a really loyal base and can get you into the ears of a lot of people. Otherwise, I feel like it's better to just stay independent. If you sign with a label too early, you're just going to end up wasting money on things that you can do yourself and get the same results for.
I would rather just play live and have a good time.
For me personally, I just really want people to hear this album, and I'm pretty proud of it. So if a label thought that we could come up with a mutually beneficial agreement that led to more people hearing it, I'd be open-minded.
Labels definitely still have their place, especially with exposure and just making special connections, and also help with finances, like for merch and packages and stuff like that.
It is really strange releasing a record and not being able to tour, not even tour, but play a show, present the music to people. So it's very strange. This is something that we've all done for, a decade, some of us more than a decade. So it's very odd to not be able to perform, but it won't be forever, and we're very excited to get back to doing that.
I help organize a festival up in Western Mass called RPM Fest that takes place every summer. We had played in 2018, and I was in the process of convincing the rest of the crew to let us play again this year with the new album coming out. For obvious reasons, the festival itself is postponed until next year. Other than that, we didn't really have anything concrete. We were just looking to book as many shows as possible and play the new album for as many people as we could. And as soon as we can get back on a stage, we intend to do exactly that.
Epic/fail moments. It's not a fail, but an epic moment. There's a church in Brattleboro, Vermont, that is also a music venue, and we got a chance to play there last summer, and it wasn't even the best attended show, but man, the acoustics in there for black metal, they sounded so incredibly good. I could just hear what everyone was doing. The room was just so loud.
I don't know if we really played enough to have a lot of epic fails, but I mean, nothing major. But John and I both have huge guitars. He has a bass. I don't know what his scale is, but my guitar has a 28 and 5/8 inch scale. And he hops around a lot on stage, and I'm headbanging a lot, so we're not really paying attention where each other's are. So usually we'll end up hitting a headstock or something on stage, but nothing catastrophic really.
Epic moments for me with Bellower would be playing the Stone Church in Brattleboro.
It's been fairly smooth sailing, and definitely playing RPM Fest was a highlight for me. That was a lot of fun. It's always a great crowd. The energy is amazing.
And then, of course, RPM Fest. What was that? 2019? 2018. We played, and it was just phenomenal because it always is.
Well, the aforementioned gig at RPM 2018 was definitely one of the most epic ones. I can't think of any major fail moments. Everyone in the band has been doing this for a really long time, so even if we fuck up during a show, we know how to just plow right through it and keep going.
The first one that comes to mind, speaking of Vermont, is Barishi's new album, Old Smoke. It absolutely rules. Really, that band can do no wrong in my book. They're just so good. They're so cool and so totally unique.
Probably be Omnium Gatherum. the Burning Cold, Mourn of Congregation's new album, The Incubus of Karma. Sorry. I do like the newish Abigail Williams too, Walk Beyond the Dark.
Newer albums for me, relatively recently, was Where Owls Know My Name from Rivers of Nile, amazing. And more recently, Hallucinogen by Blut aus Nord. I've always been a huge fan, and that album totally delivered.
I'm also getting a real kick. Inter Arma is putting out like a covers album. They've got like a Neil Young cover and a Prince cover and some other stuff.
So on the day that I'm filming this, the new Falconer album just dropped. It's incredible. Great end to that band's career. My album of the year so far is probably Stare Into Death and Be Still by Ulcerate. I really love that like mind-bending, dissonant type of death metal that they do, and they're one of the best at it. I also second the recommendation for Old Smoke by Garishi. They've been friends of ours for a very long time, and their new record smokes, pun intended.
For me, I'm very proud of what we've done here with Legendary Bones. So I'm going to be, trying in every way I can to just sort of get the word out about the album.
Just on a personal thing for me is, I'm in quite a few bands. I'm just a busy guy in general. So as far as this goes, I didn't get to do a ton of writing, but, I'd like to do more of that in the future and get a little more creative input and maybe even get more involved in a little bit of the politics of the band, since I really didn't have much of a hand in that. I just didn't have time, I guess, but not that I'm unhappy with how things went.
I'm really just most eager to get back up on stage and start playing for people again. We've been playing the same songs for about 3 years now, but they're still a lot of fun. They sound great on the new album. We have a lot of really, really cool new material in the pipeline as well that we're excited to show people. Yeah, quarantine sucks. I want to play shows again.
The pandemic has given me a lot of time to write, so I have a ton of material, and we have practiced some new material already before the pandemic. So going forward, I want to get another album out, and I want to do it faster. Hopefully everyone else in the band can keep up with my pace on this one.